All right, welcome back to the Be a Man podcast. AJ, I'm glad to have you back on, man.
Glad to be here. Thanks for asking me to be on here again. I thought
Yes,
last,
go ahead.
I figured last time I was on, people probably couldn't understand me and my southern, nonsense coming out, and you were like, oh, I can't have that guy again.
Oh yeah,
So,
you know what? People like that southern accent. I think there's something refreshing about it. Just for me, I know. But if someone didn't hear you last time, I want you to introduce yourself a little bit.
okay. My name is Andrew. Last name is Dollar. Some people call me AJ. And I 42 years old. I live just outside of Spartanburg, South Carolina, with my lovely wife, Debbie. We celebrated our 20-year anniversary in June, and that has been quite the roller coaster ride. But I'm happy and very blessed to say that we're better than we've ever been. So I'm very happy about that. Um, you know, let's see here. I spent roughly 12 years in law enforcement and mostly up around the Concord, North Carolina area. That's a combination of working in the jail, working on the road, on patrol, working as a school resource officer. And then last year, I decided to get out of law enforcement. I was already working a part-time pressure washing business along with the law enforcement, and I decided last year to officially leave law enforcement and just run my own business. And so that's what I've been doing. This is my second year full time in the business, and I would be lying if I said that I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. But at the same time, I'm blessed and trying to make the most of it and enjoy it. And I do appreciate the freedom that it brings, and I like working for myself instead of working for other people. So I'm just hoping and praying that God will maybe provide some other opportunities. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's about what it is right now. I don't have any children, got furry four-legged kids. Wish I did have kids, but that's just, not the case.
Yeah, yeah, we're getting ready to get one of those four-legged. My son,
Yeah? What you
we're
getting?
a little mini golden doodle. It's gonna be a little small thing.
I was gonna say, I guarantee you, I was about to say, I guarantee you, it's a something doodle, okay? Because everybody, that's the thing, like you can't
Yeah,
get a dog anymore that doesn't have poodle mixed in it, you know?
yeah,
It's kind of like fruit juices. Everything has cranberry mixed in it.
that's true.
All the dogs are gonna have poodle mixed in it now. So
Well, this one's supposed to be hypoallergenic, which my oldest and I are allergic to dogs and cats and
well,
everything
some
in sight. But so this one's supposed to be hypo, but hopefully it'll be something good. He's wanted one for since he was like old enough to know what a dog was.
well,
So he's
I love animals. I love dogs. I've never really been a huge cat person, but cats are actually starting to grow on me a little bit. No judgment. No judgment.
I'll keep it to
Uh,
myself.
I actually have a pretty funny story about.
Oh yeah, there you go. You're good.
We're good. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, somebody was trying to call me there, but
oh, it's okay.
I was going to tell you just a real quick funny story. Okay. Years ago, one of the guys that I was working with, um, we decided we were going to go have lunch on an off day. And on the way to the restaurant, he says, "Hey, man, do you mind if we stop and I got to feed my mom's cat. She's out of town." And he said, "Then we'll go eat." And I said, "Yeah, man, no problem." So he said, "Listen, whatever you do, don't pet the black cat, okay?" And I said, "Okay, that's fine. But why?" And he said, "Because she's crazy. All right, she'll act all friendly and lovable, but then she'll turn on you." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." So we go. He's feeding the cats in another room. I'm in the living room. Sure enough, um, little black cat comes over and starts, rubbing all over my leg and everything and being super lovable. She jumps up on this chair next to me and she's just rubbing up against me and she's purring. And I look over and I'm thinking, I heard about you, I heard about you, and she's just being so lovable. And like a moron, I started petting the black cat, even though he had told me not to pet the black cat. And so I'm petting her and she's cool and we're just having a nice little moment, whatever. And then when I stopped petting the black cat, she like proceeded to try to murder me. Okay. And she like latched hold of my hand and was biting and clawing and trying to end my life through my hand. And so I'm trying to not make much noise because I don't want him to know that I did exactly what he told me not to do. And so I'm trying to pull this cat off of my hand, and the harder I try to pull her off, the harder she's like digging in. And I finally sling her and half of the skin on my hand across the room. And she left me alone. But see, now my hand is is just pouring blood. And he walks into the room. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." I stuck my hand in my pocket. And I kept my bloody hand in my pocket for like the next hour and a half because I didn't want him to know that I was a moron, and I did what he told me not to do. So from now on, I guarantee if somebody says, "Don't pet the cat," don't pet the cat.
That's pretty funny. Hey, no cats. That's my rule. No cats. Yeah, we have a running joke in our house. We've got a 3-year-old who likes to, do his little animal sounds and all that kind of stuff. But he'll come up and he's like the biggest cat you ever have because he'll come up to he's a hoss. He'll come up, he'll start rubbing against you and meowing and all this stuff. And I'm like, you bite me and you're out. You know the rules. What? No cats.
How are you raising your kids? They're starting to act like cats now? Like, what
is wrong with you?
What is this? I've heard about these kids in middle schools that are walking around acting like cats.
Yeah. I don't understand. That's in my state too. So I don't understand what in the world's going on. We have so much in Illinois that's so weird to me. I get so frustrated. Even, you were talking about law enforcement. They are going to start. It got approved to start hiring American citizens into law enforcement now. I'm like, what could possibly go wrong? Like how could that even
why not
hold up in the courts at all? Like non-American citizens arresting or whatever American citizens. It makes no sense at all.
You're a non-citizen. You're not a citizen of this nation, but yet you're being charged with upholding the Constitution.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't make.
Well, hey, that makes as much sense as I have a former captain of mine went on an interview for and I won't. Well, yes, I will. I was going to say I won't tell you where it was, but yeah, it was a little town, a mountain town of Silva, North Carolina, a little mountain town outside of Asheville, North Carolina. Very, very liberal town, as so many of these mountain towns are.
Yeah.
And he goes on an interview for a police chief position. Nobody in this interview panel, not a single person in the interview panel, was either current or former law enforcement. None. All civilians and all females.
Huh.
And the very first question they asked him in this panel interview was, tell us about a time where you where you abused your authority with a person of color and what you think you could have done differently.
Oh, okay.
That was the very first question. Anyway, I'm just
That's
saying, like,
because that's the number one qualification.
nothing will surprise me moving forward, man. It's
No, it doesn't. And this whole, I know you posted about it a little bit too online, but the whole reintroduction of masks and all this stuff coming, I'm like, I will not do it. I will not do it again.
reintroduction of what?
Mask wearing and all this
Oh
stuff they're trying to push again.
No.
Dude,
I never did it.
I
I never did it in the beginning. I never did it the first time.
yeah. It's like, what is wrong with people? That they want to wear it all the time. I just don't understand. I just don't. Like, I understand with some, if you have some type of disease or something and, that sort of thing, but that was always the case. That wasn't like a new thing. That was always kind of
Yeah.
the case. But like a normal, healthy individual, why in the world would you want to do that?
Well, and they will continue to push and encourage this vaccine,
Yeah.
even though we've not seen anything at all that supports the vaccine.
No.
I mean,
Not at all.
I have a friend of mine. He's one of my probably my primary mentor. Was telling me that he and his wife, he's pretty sure they have COVID right now. And they're both vaccinated to the max. And they've both gotten COVID multiple times. My wife and I don't think either one of us have had COVID. I did get sick, but when I got sick, I didn't go get tested. And you know what I did? I did what I would have done if I had gotten sick any other time. I stayed home.
Yeah.
I stayed home and I acted like a sick person,
Exactly.
And anyway,
that's what we did. We got it. My wife and we just, it kicked our butt for a few days, but I'll tell you what, I had the flu or food poisoning or something this last winter.
Mm-hmm.
I would take the COVID any day over. That was one of the longest nights I had in 20 years.
Oh yeah. My wife got the flu years ago, and I was like, we both thought she was gonna die. I mean, it was horrible. It was awful. But nobody's gonna get the flu or a cold or anything else.
No, not the rest of the
sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't really want to go down that road. Sorry.
That's okay. It's been on my mind a lot too lately, as they seem to be wanting to push it.
But they are going to. If for those of you who are listening and watching, you already know probably, but they are going to start doing the same stuff again. It's going to be embellishing things. They're going to be promoting the vaccine. They're going to be promoting, irrational fear and anything they can to either distract or anything they can to control or manipulate the closer we get to the election. It's going to happen again,
Yeah. Embellish is a fancy word for lying to us again.
Yes.
And that's what they're going to do.
Yep.
And it seems to be what they are doing. But, hey, I had you on for two reasons. And the first one is this. How's your men's group going? Because I know, and maybe you could talk about it a little bit, because it's been pretty cool from the pictures and things I've seen.
Well, admittedly, there is no men's group. The men's group is not existent. And I wish that was not the case. I wish I could tell you, man, it's going great, and I got all these guys and lives are being changed and men are being encouraged and motivated and whatever. But that's just not the case. Unfortunately, it fell apart quite a while ago, actually. And it's really, I was really discouraged by that. That's actually the third time my men's group has fallen apart. And, people have asked me, well, why do you think that is? Well, I'm starting to think it's me. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm not sure, but I'm the common denominator here. Uh, but I'm not really, I'm not exactly sure. But I can tell you this, that men do have a hard time making it a priority to even 1 or 2 hours a week, making it a priority to spend time with other men, um, for the sake of physical, emotional, and spiritual growth. And especially when you throw in all three of those things, like if you just do one or two of those, you might get a little better response.
Hmm.
But when you try to throw in all three for for the purpose of well-rounded men's ministry,
Mm.
it's a struggle, you know. And
Yeah.
I even tried to back off of, and just make it just more of a laid back spiritual growth than anything else, and still had a very, very difficult time getting guys to commit to showing up, to making it a priority. Um, One of the guys that was was helping me with it, um, he and I, we're still friends. We're still good friends, but he and I had a huge disagreement about men's ministry and what, some things spiritually. And it was so big that I
Mm.
couldn't continue for he and I to, I mean, we can love each other. We can encourage one another. We can still be friends and brothers in Christ, but it was something that to me, I couldn't get on board with it to the point that we could continue to work together.
Sure. I know what you mean. It
Yeah.
just seems like, and I can't put my finger on. I was talking to somebody, I think last week or the week before, about this as well. It just seems like there's some type of, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or if it's just a lost art, like, of men being able to discuss things like this and the open dialogue and communication, like you see in like old movies, in old shows and things. You see these guys sitting around a fire or whenever, or you just see them walking along and they start talking about real life issues. And not always in the movies do you see the spiritual side, but it took place to one degree or another, and you can read about it in old books and things. But it just seems like something's been lost, as culture has become more prevalent, more powerful, has held a higher or bigger influence over spiritual matters, I think. And it just seems like this is a lost art that we're trying to recapture. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's not easy. I mean, well, and there's another men's ministry that I'm a part of, that I try to go to, as often as I can. It's another men's ministry that's about 45 minutes or close to an hour away, from here. And there's a couple guys up there that are my age or younger, but most of those guys are older guys. I would say they're retired age, and older, so
Sure.
older guys seem to still want to make it a priority and understand the value in it. But younger guys kind of seem to, it's harder for them, Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's not happening. I mean, it started with, I wanted to do like a 30-minute boot camp style workout and then follow it up with, like a fireside devotional, just to hang out, laid back, devotional or just conversational type atmosphere. Um,
Sure.
but then I even dropped the workout portion because everybody was like, workout, like,
I'm out.
like what? Yeah, they're like, no way, man. I'm like, dude, it's 30 minutes. I ain't trying to, like, And it wasn't like hardcore stuff. We weren't trying to do like CrossFit, or something.
Yeah.
But it was just guys. You say work out, and guys are like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Sadly. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. They.
But
I'm getting
anyway,
ready to
so
have
that's
some.
that's that's that. That's it's non-existent, and
I
so
gotcha. Yeah. Disappointing, but hopefully some guys will wake up and see that the need. But anyway, either way, the other reason I had you on was because you're getting ready to take a trip here in October, November. Why don't
well
you
the
talk
plan
about
was
that?
the plan was October, but I think I'm going to wait until November.
Okay.
So working law enforcement in the last um, number of years, every time something bad would happen, some kind of natural disaster or, um, just something would happen where, an area was impacted by a tornado, hurricane, flooding, fires, whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I thought, man, I wish I could go and help. I wish I could do something, Well, naturally, when you're working law enforcement, you can't just leave. Hey, I'll see you guys in 2 or 3 weeks. Bye. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. And
Sure.
so when these fires over in Hawaii, particularly Maui, but when these fires began to take place, and I began to see images and videos surfacing from those, man, my heart was just broken. I mean, my wife and I, we went to Maui 10 years ago for our 10-year anniversary.
Cool.
And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful place. And um, just the people there were amazing and just beautiful people. And I sat in my truck looking at these pictures and these videos of these fires that were going on. And I just sobbed like a baby, man, just
Mm.
brokenhearted, and
Yeah.
just thinking about these people being trapped and not able to get away from it. I mean, I was a part-time firefighter years ago for about 6 months. One of the worst mistakes I ever made was not going full-time firefighting when I had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Instead of staying law enforcement, I should have went firefighting. but
Yeah.
But I can tell you that um, it's just such a horrible thing, just seeing so much devastation from fire,
Sure.
And anyway, so I thought to myself, like I had over the years, I thought, man, I really wish I could do something. I wish I could help. And then I was like, wait a minute, I run my own business. I can help.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
And so I just instantly just felt the urge and the desire to just go help. And I don't know how I can help. I don't know what I can do. But I figure I can go do something. And I can either help with cleanup or I can help. I don't know if they'll be to the rebuilding stage when I get there, but if it's handing out food and water or if it's helping push a wheelbarrow around or if it's heck, I don't know if it's just loving on people and encouraging people and
Hmm.
praying with people. I don't know what I'll be doing. I'll probably get over there and considering my experience, I'll probably get with the local law enforcement and ask them if there's anything I can do to help them. I have no idea, but I just know that I want to go help. And so I'm going to shut down the business for 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll take a financial hit, of course, from that.
Sure.
I mean, I've got the not only the expenses from the trip, the travel expenses and everything, but then, of course, the not working for 2 or 3 weeks is gonna
Yeah.
hurt a little bit.
Sure.
But I ain't worried. But I ain't worried about it. I mean, so what? Like, what is it? Like, maybe a bill doesn't get paid for, once in my life, or maybe I have a hard time paying a credit card down as quick as I want. So what? I mean, you look at how blessed we are. In the grand scheme of things, it's just not a big deal.
Yeah. 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 You're exactly right. The pictures and things that have been coming out of there have been horrific. And to be quite honest, it's been hard to. We're at the point now where it's hard to believe anything the news tells you. So it's hard to know exactly what's going on or where the help is really needed now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of some organizations are better than others.
Sure.
I know I'll share one with you after this, but that you might look into because
Okay.
they're one of the best. But and they would take help for sure. But and there's other giving options and things like that to help you out because I wanted to have you on so that guys know that what you're doing and that you're going to be, away from your business, from your livelihood for a while, who knows how long, and
Right.
ultimately, but you want to go help, and I think that's super commendable, and I think it's something that, as we talk about what being a man and those types of things, there's the spiritual side of what being a man is, but then there's also the practical everyday side where that concept of the man going into the battle or going into the hardship has been lost for quite some time, and
Mm-hmm.
and for you to desire to want to do that, that's something that I super want to encourage and try to get the word out there so that people know that hey, you can do that too. Like it's not just one person. I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's not, and I would love to have guys get in touch with me and say, hey, I want to go with you.
yeah,
Um, but I think sometimes it's easy to look and see what other people are doing and go, oh well, that's good, but I don't think I could do that. It's just, especially when you're married, you have kids, you have bills to pay. Like it's not always going to be easy. Like you look at the sacrifices that are made by the people, the men and women over many lifetimes who have went away for battle, went away, for certain wars and to serve
mm-hmm.
the nation. And I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to just go, well, I can't do that because it's hard and because I'll have to be away from my family or I'll have to shut the business down and not make as much money for this month. And
Sure.
and please understand, like, that's not a judgment towards anybody else. I'm just saying that
Yeah,
what happens when we all do that?
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, and if it was up to me, honestly, I would just go and like buy a one-way ticket and we'll say like I'll be back when I'm back. Like
Yeah.
that's my personality. Like people are like, "Well, where are you going exactly?" I don't know. Well, what are you going to be doing? I don't know. Well, who are you going to be with? I don't know. Like, well, when are you coming back? I don't know. Like that's me. I know
Yeah.
that's my personality. I'm very like that stuff doesn't bother me. I'm just kind of like
Yeah.
we'll see what happens,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then there's my wife who's extreme type A personality, and she's like, babe, you need a game plan. You need to know who you're going to be with. You need to know what you're going to be doing. You need to know
Yeah.
when you're coming back home.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to. Like, what if I'm moving? Hold on, wait a second.
Yeah.
If I get a round trip ticket, what happens if I don't want to come back? I want to stay longer or whatever. But she's like,
Yeah.
well, babe, we have these things that we need to do, and you need to come back and you need to do this for your business and this and this and that. And I'm like, okay.
The non-fun stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand. And two, I will tell you this as well. Somebody who is a man of faith, a man of God, who's desiring to live for Christ. Um, as far as giving and thing goes, when you give to organizations, many of them you have no idea where that money's going. But one of the things I wanted to do was challenge guys to help you, and I know that would be helpful to your family as well as you go. But I know that you're going to go over there and do what you say you're going to do. Like you're not going to go over there and mess around or whatever, or take a joyride or you know what I mean. Like you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and that's the type of guy you are. And I'm hoping that we can maybe work something out, and guys can maybe give to help you as you go on this journey. Yeah.
Well, man, I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And, I've been somebody said, well, why don't you start a GoFundMe? And I'm like, I just don't want to. I really, I don't normally give a crap what anybody thinks, but I don't want people to think, oh man, he's using this horrible situation to justify some kind of a vacation. Man, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be the furthest thing from a vacation.
No.
It's going to be like, I'm already like, I'm excited. Like I'm looking forward to it. I would have went last week.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was up to me, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, I'm not scared, but I'm a little bit nervous because I know that it's going to be overwhelming. I know that it's going to be hard work. It's going to be devastating. I mean, it looks like a bomb went off over there, and it's going to be one of those things where you feel like you're working, but you probably don't feel like you're able to accomplish near as much as you want to. And so that has to be extremely difficult, So
I think it's going to be one of those things where you put in a day's work and it looks like you did almost nothing.
Right. And it's going to be that way for a long time over there, unfortunately, And then of course there's the side of it where as much as I want to go help the people of Hawaii, I also see what's going on with the sketchy stuff that's going on with the state trying to take people's land and corporations trying to take people's land. And there's things that happened that just don't really make any sense. There's sirens that didn't go off that should have went off. There's fire brigades or fire departments that were called off. There's so many things that just didn't make any sense. And so you kind of have that, I kind of have that feeling of like, I want to make sure that I'm helping the people of Hawaii, not anything that's corrupt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. It's just so much coming out of there. There's so much shady stuff that happened. I don't understand why some of it happened the way it did. I don't think maybe we'll ever know quite what happened exactly, and why alarms and sirens and things didn't go off, and they're just making excuses right now. It makes no sense to me.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the elementary school shooting that happened not too long ago, where, what was it, the Uvalde or something like that?
Yeah.
Where you have things from a guy who was in law enforcement for years. I'm looking at it going, this makes no sense. This is not a normal reaction from law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
This makes no sense. Why did this happen? This happened. This happened. This happened. And you see all these kids who were shot up and killed, and it could have been prevented, or it could have been minimized.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many guys, law enforcement guys, I've heard that from. Like they didn't do anything they've been taught. It's just very odd.
It didn't make any sense. And then you couldn't get a straight answer about, well, why did they do this instead of that?
No.
And so it's it's really, really, I'm not normally by my nature, I'm not very much of a conspiracy theorist kind of guy. In fact, I get quite frustrated and annoyed with
Yeah.
conspiracy theory stuff, but in some situations I can understand why there are conspiracies attached to those things.
Yeah. And it seems like these last few years, it's only a conspiracy until it's not. And it just
Right.
seems like so many of these conspiracy things are coming true.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so it's hard
Absolutely.
not to listen to a lot of them. I mean, to be
Yeah.
quite honest, and it's frustrating, and I know it has to be for those families as well, because the truth really isn't ever gonna. It may never come out. We'll put it that way.
Well, isn't it the same with what we just experienced the last 2 or 3 years? The last 2 years?
Yeah.
Isn't it the same about
Yeah.
why things were handled the way they were with COVID and with the way that things were handled in the hospitals, that they were literally letting people lay there and die on a ventilator instead of giving them medication that had been proven to be effective against COVID. But
Yeah.
they would rather let somebody lay there and die instead.
Yeah.
And I mean, why?
There's a lot of theories
And
on
then
that one.
and you know, it's the same thing. You got people that are falling out and dying unexpectedly now who have been vaccinated.
Yeah.
And you know, and but it's hush hush about that. Let's not talk about it, you know?
Yeah, they do not want to talk about that.
No.
And it's,
But
I mean, it's one of those where it's like it's all written on the wall, but you don't see it. Remember that old commercial where that guy and his wife are arguing, and they're on the couch and they're like trying to talk about the problem, and you know, he's just trying to point out, and I think she had a hammer or something in her head, or he had a hammer or something stuck in his head. You remember that? And, you know, he's trying to say, well, this is the problem. This is the problem. She's like, no. And she's going all around the issue and all this stuff. And there's just, no, the problem is right. It's like, you can't see it. I'm like,
wow.
we all see what's happening here, but they don't want to say that's what's happening here.
Admittedly, I've never seen that commercial, but
it's several years old.
It sounds fairly entertaining.
It's pretty good. Yeah, every once in a while there's a pretty good one. Yeah, but
yeah, I do hope that when I go, I hope that I can find a place where I feel I'm able to be useful in some way. That's all I can say, you know. And
yeah.
But you know, all I know is God has put the desire in my heart. So you know, I'm gonna do what I can, and the rest of it's not up to me. You know, so
Sure.
I would just encourage anybody who's listening to this or watching this or whatever. I would encourage you to do the same. I mean, it may not be leaving and going to Maui or wherever, but if God puts a desire in your heart, even you know, if it doesn't make sense to you, or even if it's not easy, or even if it means making certain sacrifices, I would encourage you, don't just dismiss that, you know. It's there for a reason, you know.
Yeah. And you know, we'll be praying for you as you're gone. I know a lot of guys who listen to this will as well, and hopefully maybe when you get back you can give us a little update on how it was and all that sort of thing. Just give us a recap or something like that, you know, just how it went and things like that, so that we know that
well, and absolutely, I also want to throw this out there because I'm thinking about it. So I would like to ask for your prayers, and anyone who's listening for this, not only for my trip to Hawaii, and for, you know, my business and finances and all that, but But I also would like to ask for your prayers because I'm looking for something that I can do in the off season to make money. I mean, obviously, running a pressure washing business is very seasonal, and so during the off season, I'm not making as much money, and so
Sure.
I have no. People are like, well, why don't you find out how to clean carpet, or why don't you hang Christmas lights, or why don't you? There's all these things that people are throwing at me that's like, I don't know. It's just more work. Whereas
Mm.
I'm looking for something that's more fulfilling in somewhat of a ministry type position, or something that is more fulfilling and useful. Like, as far as, okay, so let me say this. Like, when I was a police officer, being an officer, being on the road, like, that was my ministry. When I was in uniform, I was in my patrol car, I was responding to calls and dealing with whatever. That was my ministry. And it was always an effort of leaving people better than I found them. And now I don't have that. So
Mm.
I would like, and I mean, washing houses and concrete and, decks
Hmm.
and fences and all that stuff. Like, it's good. I'm glad I get to make people's property look nicer, but it's not fulfilling to me
Yeah.
in a sense that I don't feel like I'm really able to do what God put me here to do, which is encourage, love, motivate, inspire, just those are the things that I feel like God has put me here to do. So, like, even so much as like I used to drive Uber and Lyft on my days off. And even driving Uber and Lyft, it was an opportunity for me to have good conversations with people, pray with people, or at least be nice to somebody that was having a bad day. Whereas now, I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying I can't even drive Uber because I don't have a car that's appropriate for
Yeah.
Uber. So I'm just saying, if you guys could pray that God would provide me an opportunity to do something, preferably something that makes money in the off season that is more fulfilling, um, for my purpose, I would
Hmm.
really, really appreciate it.
Gotcha.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We definitely will be. And um, yeah, I I think there's always a longing for most guys to want to do something more. And I think that's kind of how God made us. Like, we don't. Uh, you need some adventure, I guess. You need something like a not a purpose, because you know what your purpose is, but you need something to challenge you. Guys need to be challenged, and many times guys just kind of sit back and just, they just, like, whatever happens, or whether it's sports or whatever it may be, they try to fill their mind and block those challenges out with that. But I think deep down inside, every guy wants to be challenged in some way, and I think what you're discussing here is you want to be challenged and see how God can use you in bigger and mighty ways to help people, and they need help. People need help, and
Yeah.
I think
Well,
you've
I
got a
always got
message
that
for them.
when I was working in the jail. I had that when I was working in the schools. I had that when I was working on the road. That stuff was always there.
Yeah.
Couple of days ago on Sunday, I went hiking, and ended up at this amazing, beautiful waterfall. I think you saw maybe the
Yeah.
pictures that I posted. It was awesome. And I mean, even little moments like that, there's all these people that you run into, and there's opportunities in those moments to to have a mindset of just, how can I leave this person better than I found them? How can I mean, a guy was telling me how a year ago he was drinking and driving. He blacked out, had a wreck, hit a tree, and
Mm.
was in a coma, for months,
Wow.
and here this year, he's, just so, this is a year later, he's so happy to
Hmm.
be alive,
Yeah.
and to be able to walk these trails and enjoy, this beautiful waterfall. Like he sees life differently. But I could tell that to him, that was all it was. And I was able to tactfully let him know that God is not through with him, and that
Mm.
God has a purpose for his life. And
It's awesome.
it was just nice to be able to encourage him with that. And so, naturally, it would be awesome if I had some way, that I could do more of those types of things and still make money, still be able to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. 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 We will definitely be praying for that. Be praying for your trip. Um, praying for your family, and
sure, I appreciate it. Thank
hopefully,
you.
yeah, and hopefully God, well, I know God will use you in mighty ways, and from the long plane flights, and who knows who you're going to get next by, seated
Heck
next
yeah,
by,
man.
and be some good
Yeah,
conversations, right?
sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me
Yeah.
on. And if
Yeah.
anybody else wants to ever jump on and have a conversation, I know there's
Yeah.
a lot of guys out there. I'm all about networking, and I'm still all about men's ministry, even though I'm not actually, doing a men's ministry right
Yeah.
now. I'm still all about, that stuff. I'm very thankful for what you do, and other men who listen to this podcast. You know, Seeing men who hunger and thirst for what God has for them, man, that is just the best thing ever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Well, I mean, if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way? Instagram or
Well,
Facebook or,
I do like connecting with people on Instagram and Facebook, of course. And then, of course, if you want to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, um, again, my name is Andrew Dollar. You can look me up. Um, Admittedly, I can't remember what my Instagram. I'll be
I'll
kidding.
link it. I'll link it in the description.
um, but I don't mind jumping on a phone call. I'll give you my phone number. You can reach out to me at let's see, hold on, AJ Dollar 40, AJ Dollar DOLLAR, the number 4, the number 0 at gmail.com. Shoot me an email if you want to go old school. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, just connect with me, and we'll see what happens from there.
All right. That's cool. Yeah. So I like to end each episode now with a challenge from you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
something for the guys for this week. Maybe it's for the next month, end of the year, whatever it may be. What's a good challenge for the guys who are listening right now?
Well, only because I just did it on Sunday afternoon, I used to do it quite a bit more often than I do now. But get outside and
Hmm.
get in the woods. Get in. Get out in the wilderness, and God's creation that has not been as heavily corrupted by buildings and the hustle and the bustle. Like, even if you have to drive, I had to drive 2 hours to go where I went. If you have to drive a little bit, but just that's fine. Just go out and take some water and take some, a few snacks
Hmm.
with you. Take you a towel. You might run into a river or a waterfall you want to swim in. Um, but just get out and experience God's, glorious creation, and just talk to God. And if you run into somebody on the trail, don't be afraid to speak. Don't be afraid to say hello, and be kind, and strike up a conversation with somebody. You never know what that conversation could lead to. You might have a word for that person, or that person might have a word for you. So I heard a saying years ago that said, never underestimate the value of one moment, word, or deed in the life of another person. And so, go outside and get in the woods. I'm not talking about just walking down your street. I'm talking about go find some trails. You can go to All Trails, the All Trails app. It's wonderful for finding great trails. Um, and hey, strike up I'd love to start an outdoors, hiking group, here where I am. But again, I can't even get guys to show up at the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But yeah, that's my encouragement. Go outside.
that's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I never know what guys are going to say, and believe it or not, it's always something different, and it's pretty cool. And we need these challenges, and I know me personally, I always get a lot out of them, and it helps me. I talked about that challenge that all guys need, and this is just part of it. I need, make sure I'm getting outside in the midst of
And
interviewing and
and
all this other stuff.
well, and if you don't mind, let me just add to that
Yeah.
I think it's great that if you take your wife and your kids and stuff, but I also think that you need to get some solo time. You need to get get some learn how to be at peace with just you and God for a little while.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually mine involves a fishing pole as well. So
There you go. There you go. Heck yeah.
usually, and then
There you go.
start catching stuff. It's even better. Yeah. All right. All right. Man, I appreciate you coming on. I've enjoyed this conversation. I hope other guys will too. And I appreciate you, and we will definitely be praying for you in all
Well,
these
I appreciate you
life
keeping in
events.
touch with me, man. Thank you so
Oh,
much. I
yeah.
always love seeing your stuff pop up on Facebook. People
Yeah.
talk junk about
Thanks.
Facebook, but I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. It's how you use it, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, man, I love you. I appreciate you, and let's talk again soon. Okay.
All right. We will. Thank you, Andrew.
See you, everybody.